Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee. So think about if you started a business and you had to hire people. Say you had to hire 10 people. The success of your business depended upon the people that you hired. If you hired a bunch of idiots, you'd fail. So you seek out, form a team of people to start hiring. And your goal is the best and the brightest, right? To hire the best that you can for the success of your business. So you do that. You screen people, you vet them, you interview them intensively, and you feel like you feel like you got it. Well, when you start your business, you realize a couple of them weren't who they said they were. They sold you in the interviews, and they just weren't good employees. So what would you do for the success of your business? What do? You fire them. You get rid of them, right? You have to. The success of your business depends upon, good morning, Tyler. The success of your business depends upon this hire, these hires, or you're going to go bankrupt. Only makes business sense, right? When you decided you were going to open this business and you were going to hire people, you didn't say, I'm going to hire people that made me laugh. I'm going to hire people who charmed me, who were just charismatic, who who look good on social media, were influencers, and uh, they would just say the right things. And then when they didn't perform, I would just keep them. You didn't do that, right? Because if you did, your business would be gone. So if I mean, that's just logic. That just makes sense, right? So why isn't that same logic going on with when we hire politicians? Because that's what we're doing. When you cast your vote, good morning, Britt. When you cast your vote, you are hiring someone for a job. When you vote for someone, you are hiring them. When you think about that, if that's the mentality that we have, maybe we'll do a better job. Because right now, and I'm going to show you, I have receipts to show that we are absolutely failing. What happened to us electing, essentially hiring the best and the brightest? We no longer do that. And I have some theories of why. And we have the dumbest group of politicians in our nation's history at every level. We have some of the absolute dumbest people uh, on the planet Earth leading very important government agencies, law enforcement agencies. It's not just embarrassing, it is absolutely scary. So I'm going to start off. I got several examples, but I'm going to start off with who may be the absolute dumbest politician in our nation. Now that says a lot. I've got some examples of some other ones. I've got some usual suspects out there, but Sheriff Gary McFadden, and I'll get in his bio after the video. Sheriff Gary McFadden may be the dumbest politician on the planet. I don't think this man has an IQ of 60. And he is the sheriff of a 1 million-person population sheriff's office. How the fuck did this happen? So let's play this video. When he was recently, this is in South Carolina. He is testifying in front of the South Carolina State Senate or the Congress, and it is about the y'all remember the immigrant? Yeah, Brett, you do have a dumb governor. So y'all remember the immigrant that was from Ukraine that was stabbed by the, I think, 36-time felon, and nobody cares. She was an immigrant. Nobody cares because she was white and the person that stabbed her was black. Yeah, so they're getting to the bottom of this. The state senate is, and they had the sheriff testify. So this is the sheriff of Mecklenburg County.
Do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County Sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck. Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
Okay. For the sake of debate, I will move on and say there are 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those 3, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one,
Would you say it to me?
judicial.
You are incorrect, sir. You fall under the executive. And as a member of the executive, what do you believe your primary function is?
Care and custody of those in my custody at the Mecklenburg County Detention Center.
Okay. That is part of what your responsibilities as sheriff are, sure. But as a member of the executive, your primary function is to execute upon the law, to enforce the law. What branch of government?
So one thing they did show in this video clip was when they asked him, do you know what the 3 branches of government are? He said, no. So you have a man who has spent over 40 years in law enforcement, is the chief, he loves to call himself the chief law enforcement officer of the county, doesn't understand the 3 branches of government. He doesn't even know the 3 branches of government established under our Constitution, let alone knows what branch of government he is under as sheriff of Mecklenburg County, as he says. Mecklenburg County, what in the motherfucker is wrong with you people? Y'all didn't know this man was dumb? No, this is why we get this is one of the best examples. So let's talk about Sheriff Gary L. McFadden. Was elected the 45th sheriff of Mecklenburg County and was sworn in office December 4, 2018. Prior to being elected as sheriff, Gary had a distinguished 36-year law enforcement career with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, where he served for over 20 years as a legendary homicide detective. Who the fuck wrote this? A legendary? He wrote this. Legendary by whose standard? This man, I just showed you how dumb he is. Y'all really think he was legendary? That man, and based on what I have seen, this man couldn't find an elephant on Interstate 10. And he's a legendary detective? Go down a little bit and let's see. He is Omega Phi Phi fraternity, NAACP, NBA legends. This is all the groups he's part of. Cops and Barbers, Beauty After the Bars, Charlotte Black Mental Health. He was Charlotte Citizen of the Year 2015. This dude's a fucking clown. So this is the best y'all had. Mecklenburg County. This is the best that y'all had when it was time to find a sheriff of 1 million person county. This is what y'all came up with. No, it's not. It's not. This was the guy y'all could control. This was the guy that was dumb enough to do whatever y'all. This is what it's about now, especially with the Democrats. Go find. It's not the best and the brightest. It's the dumbest and the most naive. Best and brightest went to the dumbest and most naive. Because why they want the dumbest? So they can control them. He is being controlled by someone. He is a puppet. And that's what most of these Democrat politicians are now. They're puppets. They're being controlled by the money. And it's very dangerous. I'll break that down in a little bit. It is extremely dangerous of electing really dumb people. Well, speaking of really dumb people, let's look at one of the dumbest in Congress, Representative AOC.
Clip, I thought, no, there's no way this could be real, and yet it is.
And to all of you, and Congressman, I'll start with you, would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
You know, I think that this is such a, you know, I think that this is a, this is of course a very longstanding
Spit it out, dummy.
policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation. And for that.
What the fuck did she just say? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what they have. No substance in anything that they say. This was real simple. Real simple. If China tries to take over Taiwan, should we get involved? She doesn't even know that Taiwan is a big ally of ours. She said nothing because she didn't know anything, because that's what happens when you elect really dumb people who say the right things. And I don't know how people believe anything that she says when it's scripted. They give her a script and they put the little strings, say this, AOC, and she says it. But when she gets pressed, that's not even pressed. She got to ask a simple question. This wasn't even a pressing answer or question. And she got stuck. She had no idea what to say because she doesn't know anything, because she's just a talking head, has no substance, has absolutely zero intelligence. You know why? Because they elected a dummy. She was a bartender. She had no experience. We're electing, there's two good examples, all right? So you elect an idiot who, obviously this man, I mean, he's got 40-something years. He needs to just go home. He doesn't need to be in office anymore. It's time to let somebody else. But it's people are power hungry and they want to stay in power, and it's just a corrupt system. So you have Gary McFadden, who needs to retire and go home because he has no idea what he's doing. And then on the other end, you have this young person who has done nothing, and they're being exposed by just simple questions, because we are electing the dumbest people. Right. So, one of the hottest topics right now it's been, I did a whole series on this last week about the voting, the SAVE Act. And this lady, Representative Hillary Scholten, let's see what she says about the SAVE Act, of why we shouldn't vote for that.
District alone, 160,000 women could find themselves unable to register simply because when they got married, they didn't change both their ID and their birth certificate. 160,000 women in my district alone. In Michigan.
You know the problem with this? So here's the thing. It's a complete lie. That's not the truth. They're trying to scare people, but this is the scariest part. She wasn't, in my opinion, she's not intentionally lying. She thought that was the truth. She thought that you actually change your birth certificate. Your birth certificate is your birth certificate. She's too dumb to know that your birth certificate is permanent. All you need is your marriage license. And everybody has to do that. I went through this extensive last week. I don't want to revisit too much, but that's not, they're lying, okay? You've got Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, all these people, they're lying and scaring people that we're going to, this law would oppress voters. Well, the biggest problem with this lady, never heard of her before, is that she's not intentionally lying. She believes this. Well, let's definitely say a prayer on this one, that this lady is not the president of the United States, who is absolutely one of the dumbest politicians in the history of politics. So let's play our last video here. And Miss Kamala herself, Miss Camel Toe, let's see what she has to say.
To voter ID, one of those compromises that you'd support? I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't, there's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them. People have to understand that when we're talking about.
So there's no Kinko's and no Office Max for people to vote. What the fuck? But that's what we're electing. That was almost president of the United States. So how did we get here? So how we got here is the Democrat establishment. This is not like that in Republicans. I mean, we do have some dumbass Republicans, but it's really a happening with the Democrats because they have an agenda to change the fabric of our country. And how they're going to change it is with dumb politicians, people that they put in office and they can control them. How do they control them? Well, when you elect dumb people, here's some of the biggest problems, other than just being incompetent, of elected low IQ, very low intellectual politicians. They are very easily manipulated. You can put that strings on it, put that steering wheel in the back and steer wherever they want. That's what they're doing. They're getting their puppets and they're just getting people they can steer. Whatever direction that the Democrat establishment wants, they can steer them to. Here's the other thing. The dumber you are, the easier you are to corrupt. Either they can, when you're dumb and you have made your career like this Gary McFadden, I can just imagine how he made his career, shucking and jiving and bobbing and weaving. And when you do that, you're or used to cheating the system and skimming and scamming is a way of life. And when that happens, you're compromised. And when they have you compromised, they own you. I can imagine what they have on this man. As dumb as he is, I can imagine how much dirt they have on him. Therefore, they just steer whatever they want. The dumber you are, the easier you're going to be to manipulate and to corrupt. And that's why we're in the position we are today. So Mama Look of the Day. Well, Mama Look of the Day is Sheriff Gary L. McFadden of Mecklenburg County, South Carolina. You are a fucking mama. You're an embarrassment. You are an absolute embarrassment to your county, to the profession of law enforcement, and to every sheriff in the United States. You should absolutely resign. You embarrassed yourself on the national stage. You showed how stupid you are. And you should resign, Sheriff Gary L. McFadden, the legendary homicide detective. Again, my opinion is Gary L. McFadden could not find an elephant on Interstate 10. It's a sad state, but we got here because of, I'm going to go a little longer today. We are the problem. The voters in the United States are the problem because we are not doing our part. We are not educating ourselves. We are being sham and by little 30-second videos. You know, I'm gonna cover this. I'm gonna do a little part two, probably half of the show tomorrow. Do a little part two, and I'm gonna expand on how we got here and how they keep this. What strategies they're using to keep this. So let's just continue on that tomorrow and go back to we'll just go back to that tomorrow. So until tomorrow. Remember, as I close with every day, nobody's coming to save you, and the world does not give a fuck. McGee is out.